Hey travelers, Mag here on the first of many adventures to take place here on the islands of Hawaii. Right now we're starting off on the southeast corner of Oahu on Walamalu Beach Park, and from here we're going to make our way over to Makapu'u Lighthouse. We're going to follow the trails all the way up to the lighthouse, find a few geocaches along the way, an adventure lab, and we'll be ending things up there. A short adventure, but as you can see, there's going to be plenty of beautiful scenery along the way. So let's see what our first day in Hawaii has in store. Come on, let's go. We begin our first adventure here on Oahu on Walamalu Beach Park, which is a relatively uncrowded beach compared to many others on the southeast portion of the island. That is because each beach found here on the island and on each island has its own unique profile. While Walamalu Beach may be a great place to sit and enjoy the wave action, it is not a place that you want to jump into the water and go for a swim. It's a much better spot to bring the family to picnic in the nearby park or bring the dogs to walk out along the sand, as there are very few beach parks that allow the dogs to walk here. As far as access to the water goes though, this beach is mostly comprised of sharp lava rocks. If you make an attempt to head out into the water from here, you can count on the waves beating you down in this rocky terrain. The sand dunes surrounding the beach are considered sacred to locals, containing iwi kapuna, ancestral remains. My base of operations here in Hawaii is going to be on the island of Oahu. So most of our videos will be taking place here, and they're going to be short videos, not full days like we were doing on the road in Japan or the United States. Instead, there'll be short trips during the day to go explore one trail, one downtown area, things like that. For now, we're just taking a walk along the beach, enjoying the scenery, and as beautiful as this is, I'm willing to bet we're going to be seeing this in pretty much all of our videos, because no matter where you go in Hawaii, the ocean and the beaches are just never too far away. There are several places that visitors make a big point of trying to get out to whenever they visit Oahu, and one of those is the Halona Blowhole. Since it is directly on the way to the trail I'm heading to today, I figured I might as well stop in for a quick look. The wind here forces the waves onto the rocks, shooting sea spray up into the air. In the right conditions, you can expect to see the Halona Blowhole shooting for up to 40 feet high. Today happens to be a relatively calm day though, minimizing the effect of this otherwise impressive geyser. And this trail I find myself on now is the perfect example of why I wear the same outfit, long sleeves and long pants, regardless of the weather conditions or the location. Because even if you think you're caching in an urban environment, you step a little ways off the paved pathway and suddenly you've got tearing brush and cactus on both sides of you, gnawing away at your pant legs. But with material like this, I am good to go. My legs are not bleeding. Not yet, anyway. Nor will they be if I have anything to say about it, because I'm not intending to bushwhack any more than absolutely necessary today. And looking on the map at what's coming up ahead of me, that's a fairly realistic goal, as most of the geocaches I'm seeking are located no more than a few feet off of the main trails. Most, anyway. There are at least one or two that are going to require quite the adventure. And would you look at that? Right out of the gate, a container big enough to hold some small swag items and trackables. We're definitely not geocaching in Japan anymore. It doesn't take me very long at all before I reach the trail I am seeking today, the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail, a 2-ish mile loop that has a 600-foot elevation gain to the top. This is considered a novice level trail for the island, which is a great starting point for my adventures here on Oahu. Check out this awesome geocache right here. It's more than 12 years old, so the logos on the front have worn away. But when you pop this bad boy open, it's sorted out with 4 different interior containers. One for your geocoins, your logbook, your swag, and your travel bugs. It also has clear indications of what a geocache is here, as well as more information about the game. Just on the off chance somebody happens to stumble into this little patch here and come across it. Very awesome geocache, definitely leaving a favorite point. Before heading on my way up to the top of the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail though, I decide first to take the Kauai Shoreline Trail to Allen Davis Beach. One of the most popular things to check out on this trail is Pele's Chair, a seat-shaped lava rock formation looking out over the sea. It is a fitting throne for this Hawaiian goddess associated with volcanoes, fire, lightning, and wind. What a cool little hidden cove to be able to find. Even though I have no love for swimming and will not be so much as dipping my toes in the water, I'm excited to find any secret little spot like that anywhere I can on this island, and hopefully one day the Mag crew will come enjoy the waters. while I watch on the shore.
Makapu'u, which roughly translates as bulging eye, is a very popular hiking trail with both tourists and locals. On any given day, you can expect to come across many of each type as you make your way up this smooth, paved trail to the top. There are a couple of branches and a loop leading back down the cliffs, which we will be exploring today as that's where the geocaches are bound to take us. But most folks are going to go ahead and stick to those paved trails the whole way through. It is even more popular in the winter months, November through April, as many of these vantage points afford an opportunity to see humpback whales during their migration.
This turning point on the trail is a fantastic place to get a difference in the views between Cocoa Head and Cocoa Crater. Cocoa Crater being the larger of the two and more recently having erupted. You can see the difference here, and the Earth Cache makes you evaluate between the two, which is why I love Earth Caches, because it gives me a perfect reason to stop off, enjoy this view, and look a little deeper below the surface.
Not to mention that this Earth Cache makes me have to stop off and take a break from the climb leading to the top. Unfortunately, I had not quite finished catching my breath by the time I answered all the questions, but I am driven with purpose, and so I begin the ascent again. I discover lookout points and interpretive signs at fairly regular intervals, providing a series of well-timed excuses to take short breaks during the ascent.
The trail leading up to the lighthouse is only about 3/4 of a mile long and paved the entire way through, which on paper makes it sound easy, but like any good trail, it's uphill the whole way and quite steep. So as we climb up and up, the views are getting increasingly more beautiful out along the coast, and I can't wait to see this lighthouse waiting for us at the top.
Completed in 1908 and activated on October 1st of 1909, this 35-foot lighthouse contains the largest lighthouse lens used anywhere in the United States. It also claims one of the highest focal points of any lighthouse in the United States at 420 feet above sea level.
It really doesn't feel like you've gone all that far until you look down at your tiny speck of a car down there, and then you realize in a short distance you've climbed one heck of a long way.
Like all but one lighthouse, the Boston Light and Boston Harbor, the Makapu'u Point Lighthouse eventually became automated in 1974. In more recent history, the local government has barred access to the public.
Well, I'm clearly not going to get any closer to the lighthouse than this point right here. Right? From the observation area just over the top, I still expect to have a clear view looking up on it. We're going to go.
It is from here at the remains of the oil house that I once again decide to branch off of the main trail and head toward the Makapu'u tide pools. I will eventually head up this way again, but there are two geocaches between me and the tide pools, and I figure I might as well take on this scramble across the rocks while I still have enough energy to do so. I am pleased to find that there is very little delta between the location my GPS brings me to and the coordinates provided by the owner, making for a relatively short search across the hillside.
This trail has delivered nothing but good-sized geocaches and phenomenal views all along the way. I could not have picked a better spot to begin our adventures here in Hawaii.
But I certainly could have picked a safer trail than that branching off of the main trail toward the Makapu'u tide pools. The geocache hidden at the bottom is listed as a 4-star terrain, and you are bound to earn every bit of that on the road to get there. Descending the rocky cliffs was a cinch compared to the last few hundred feet to reach ground zero.
This leads to that age-old question. How far are you willing to go for a geocache? I've already come all the way down those cliffs. The geocache is only another 200 feet over that way. But my best approach seems to be this walkway right here, which, watching the waves beat it down, I'm not too keen on taking. This may be as far as I go. I gotta think on this one for a minute.
At times like these, it is well worth it to carve out the time and carefully assess the situation. I observe the treacherous walkway in front of me and the cliffs behind me, carefully considering my options.
So I've been sitting here and evaluating this bridge for quite a while now, and as you can see, while it can be clear for up to a minute or two at a time, sometimes when those waves come in, they blast completely over the top of the ridge. And as much as I want to go get this geocache just over the way, I'm not willing to risk the bad timing of one of those waves sweeping me off over the rocks. So this one, I'm going to save for a future adventure sometime when I'm feeling a little more brave.
As I begin to walk away in defeat, I look up at the cliffs one more time and see a pathway I hadn't noticed before. While still a bit precarious, I decide that this is a much better path than the one I had been considering.
Every new angle I get makes my original path of approach look all the more perilous. I'm taking these upper shelves. I'm definitely not doing that.
Because these tide pools are a bit difficult to reach, there are not all that many people down here. If you make it down, you'll have your choice of pool to check out some sea stars, fish, or just sit and relax in the water. Just make sure to do it at low tide so you don't get beat down on the rocks.
I continued assessing the situation, changed my mind, and followed that rock shelf line above that death trap water line over there to come over and make the find. Now for the real trick. How am I supposed to get back up out of here?
The answer to that question was carefully. Oh, so carefully, I made my way back up the rocks to the paved trail. And then, almost immediately, I branched off again, this time out to the west to pursue the listings on that side. This quickly became my favorite part of the trail because once you reach the top of the ridge, you can find 2 pillboxes waiting for you. These are both leftovers from World War II, and there are several places on the island that you can find pillboxes just like this, if you know where to look. For the most part, each of these pillboxes look very similar to one another, having been built of reinforced concrete by Army engineers and then either transported or poured into place on site. At a minimum, they were all used as observation stations during the war, but some of them were armed with weapons and used as defensive stations as well. It's interesting to consider what it must have been like to have been posted in one of these pillboxes during the war.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be finding regular geocaches again. And it doesn't even matter, as a previous finder noted, that everything inside is wet and needs maintenance, which is actually a very true statement here. As you can see, everything is wet and moldy inside because it's still a regular sized geocache, and this makes me a happy cacher. It seems so much easier finding my way down here for this geocache, but now I've got to go back up, and finding the route I picked, it's going to be a little bit more work. Here we go.
Near the end of the climb to the top of the trail, there is one more reminder of the World War II history that happened in this area. A plaque dedicated to the memory of 9 American naval aviators who perished in an accident on April 5th of 1942. Their seaplane crashed into the hillside on return from a 12.5-hour mission over the ocean.
That is success right there. I have found every geocache I'm looking for on these trails. Now it's just time to make the ascent up to the top and finish this thing off.
It may have taken me quite a while to get here with many detours, but I finally breathe a sigh of relief when I see the stairs leading up to the viewpoint. But in the end, that's what journeys like this are all about. Not getting to the place you're trying to go, but the road that you take to get there. That's where memories are made.
All right, and that's gonna do it for our first adventure here in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. A 3/4 mile hike up to the Makapu'u Lighthouse, a few geocaches along the way, an adventure lab completed, and beautiful scenic views all along the way. We have many more adventures to follow here in Hawaii, so make sure to like this video, subscribe, stay tuned for updates, and I'll see you out on the trails.